The topic of this video looked interesting to me. It says, do English people like American accents? I would like to know the answer to that myself. I know that as an American, I find non-American accents pretty cool because I'm surrounded by the American dialect. You know, it's just like, it's not super special to me. I'm reminded of that scene in The Suicide Squad where Harley Quinn makes some sort of comment about the German guy's accent. And he said something about how American women always like accents or something along those lines. And she says, of course, it's because we don't got none, or, yeah, which is not accurate. We do have plenty of accents, different dialects in the country, but I got the point of what she was saying. Because you're in it, you don't really detect it too much. I mean, you can tell where someone is from generally. But I'm curious to find out what English people think of us, our accent. Let's go ahead and jump right into this.
Queen Victoria and her people. Nice. James Prime here, and today I am back in England. Now, this time I won't just be staying in London. I plan to go check out some other cities in town, so if you have any recommendations on where I should visit next, let me know. I just might chase it up. Now, a while ago I made a couple videos called What Americans Think About England, and throughout those videos you'll notice a recurring theme that Americans really like the English accent.
I think like the cute accents, cute British accents, so I like their accent.
I love the accents there too.
I like their accent.
But their accents are kind of funny, it's kind of cool.
Their accents are pretty cool.
I love their accent.
I like how they talk.
So today I thought it'd be fun to see if the opposite is true. I want to see if the American accent or accents
Watch him be like, no, it
are
sounds
just as
so
good
uneducated.
to them as the English accent is as good to us. I don't know. Let's go find out. So when you think of American accent, what type of accent are you thinking of?
Well, on the internet, there's that typical American girl voice that's like, oh my god.
Oh, jeez.
I can't.
Oh, yes. I'm not crazy about that type of accent. That's kind of what we call a Valley Girl, or we used to call them a Valley Girl accent. I don't know what you would call that today. That you don't really hear that term being thrown around too much. So that's definitely not very representative of the different accents we have here. I thought she was going to say the Boston accent or the New York accent. Okay.
American girl voice that's like, oh my god.
I can't really name the different regional differences. The only one that stands out to me is the New York accent.
Yeah.
I'm kind of scared of anyone with that accent. I did actually have a teacher with a New York accent, and she scared the shit out of me. So
for me, it's always the kind of the nasally California, oh my god, awesome.
Right.
That's the classic for me. Probably Californian, Los Angeles and all that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's so
I think
funny.
It's quite
I
loud.
didn't expect
can be
to hear
loud.
that.
I mean, they pronounce the words really well. You understand them really easily, but
Interesting.
it can be a bit annoying sometimes.
See, mine's I had to go deep, is it Texas, when they're really deep? Southern, yeah. Yeah, okay. Texas in the south, didn't know that.
Right.
Or they all there's just one American accent. Here, you said, you go down the road, there's another accent. Whereas in America, I feel everyone just speaks the same.
Oh, no, we definitely don't. But maybe we definitely don't. I think maybe it seems like we do because we're so much bigger geographically than, let's say, places in England or Scotland or Ireland and whatever. They're so close together. But certainly when you go up north, you hear that they got that different accent to them. When then you go down south and they talk real Southern. And then you have the accents like the Midwest, which up the northern, the sort of the northern states in the middle of the U.S. up at the border. They sound sometimes like Canadians because they have the little about twang to them every once in a while. You hear the little hints of it. And in a lot of in California, I don't really hear too much of an accent in California. The one that they're talking about, the Valley Girl type, that's not really super. I don't feel like that's a huge thing, honestly. There are some very neutral accents. Like my daughter, she's born and raised here in the South, but her accent, she doesn't sound Southern. I wasn't born in the South, but I definitely sound Southern because I pretty much spent my entire life here, with the exception of like a year, maybe or so in Indiana. So, yeah, there's Texas. Texas has a Southern accent. Like if you listen to Selena speak English, she's very Texan, and it sounds very heavily Southern, but not like hillbilly Southern, like what a lot of people associate with super deep South, very rural areas. We a lot of times, obviously not a lot of times in the South, we have these huge cities, and a lot of people immigrate to there from other places in the country, and so you have a mixture of different accents a lot of times in the big cities, and sometimes the neutral accents. It just, but yeah, in general, we definitely have our different dialects. But if I travel an hour here or an hour there, I'm going to run into people that sound similar to me because that's still in the South. Whereas maybe, in a place like this, it's different. You don't have to travel as far to get to a different area where people have different dialects.
I would say either like the high-pitched Midwestern accent, especially female accent, or I would say like your upper South, like Tennessee, like drawl, something like that.
Probably the New York accent. Yeah, I like the way they say coffee.
It's gonna sound really weird, but something not too dissimilar from your accent, like kind of
Midwest.
Yeah, exactly, Midwest. I definitely don't think default of New York or
very
deep
neutral,
South or anything like that. So yeah, something like Midwest.
I associate Midwest. I associate Midwest with just a neutral accent where they don't really have a clear distinction as to whether they're Southern or Northern or, whatever. But maybe that is a distinction, the fact that they're neutral. But yet you've got people, like I said, like my daughter, that have a pretty neutral accent. Oh, anyway, it's interesting.
Thoughts on the American accent?
I don't know. I think it depends on the person that it's coming from, but I like it. I think because it's the same language, but you use different words and kind of say things slightly differently. I think it's just interesting.
It is
so
interesting.
I quite like having a
fascinating
with an American person.
I think because we grew up with a lot of American TV, so I'm just quite neutral to it. It's just an accent.
Yes.
The American accent is like the English accent of the internet, and everyone digests content on the internet now. So now it means like if you have an English accent, you're this kind of exotic token who just sounds a bit like Hugh Grant, sounds a bit kind of weedy and pathetic. Whereas the American accent is kind of feels a bit more like luxuriant in comparison.
There's a very annoying accent, but I don't know where it's from. And it's like hi, it's Cali, like, I don't know.
So I relocated to America when I was 16. At the time, I had a real English accent and found it incredibly hard to be understood. I would ask for like a glass of water in a restaurant, and people actually wouldn't get it at all. So
I don't get that. Because that's not hard to understand. Maybe I don't know. I don't feel like I've had really too much trouble understanding dialects from different English-speaking countries. Sometimes it maybe if they're speaking really, really super fast or using idioms that just go right over my head. Yeah, but I mean, basic words like water, that's funny to me that people couldn't understand them. Maybe it's just a lack of exposure to those accents. Maybe they didn't really watch much British TV or didn't watch British movies or whatever. I don't know.
Deliberately started putting on a more American accent, like, can I get a water? Oh, I love it. Especially like Boston accents. Yeah, I'm a New England Patriots fan, so like
Oh my
people
gosh.
like Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, like when they come on and do a real Boston accent, I think it's great. And also the Deep South.
Really?
I think it's fantastic.
I mean, I think the American accent is pretty like understandable, but personally, like I prefer the English accent a lot more. It's nice, like I think it's fine, but I just prefer like an English accent if I had to decide.
Oh, one thing I would like to say is, I can't tell the difference at all between an American accent and a Canadian accent. So, you know, I know
Oh, okay. That's because they're so similar, and I get that. But well, I was gonna say if he listens to, you know, about there are certain little twists and just little tweaks they have on different words that when you hear it, well, I generally think, is that a Canadian or is that someone in the one of the border states in the middle of the country? That's typically what I think. But usually when I hear somebody say words like about or pasta, yes, Justin, I'm talking about you. When I hear that, I think they're Canadian. Though I understand that sometimes there are Americans who say words like that. I don't know, it's funny.
What are you talking about?
That's the only one. That's the only one.
That's not the
What I
only
think
one.
Of as like standard American accent, like we discussed, like yours, like Midwest, I really like. I think of other ones like the New York accent, again, like the Deep South accent is like quite stereotypically funny accents. Like, you know, in comedies, you like would have like the Deep South like drawl.
Yeah.
It's like coming out with funny lines and things. So I think of that as quite like a comic sort of slant on things.
It can get annoying quite sometimes, but it like can get quite whiny but I also prefer the British accent, specifically on men.
I feel some triggered Americans are going to be like, oh my gosh. To the people out there that are watching,
That's funny.
Could you give them your best American
Oh boy.
accent?
On Wednesdays we wear pink. Pink from Mean Girls. I like my water bottle.
Hi, my name's Izzy, and this is my American accent.
Not too bad.
My name's Izzy, and I'm from America.
Life is like a box of
Oh,
chocolates.
Lord.
I'm gonna park the car in
Uh,
Harvard.
Park the car in the
I
garage.
like to drink a nice cold glass of water.
Water is wet. Because Australian.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't sound American.
Yeah.
Water.
That's how everyone thinks British people say water. Water.
Interesting perspective from the English people. I appreciate you guys going out of your way to do this video. Now, if you're American and you're watching this video and you feel triggered, don't worry. There's a support group I made on Discord that you guys can join and discuss your feelings. It's called the Triggered One Support Group. So go ahead and join that if you feel triggered.
That's so
I'll probably
funny.
make this video again in a different city just to get some different perspectives. And to the Americans out there that are watching this video, I'm curious to know your thoughts on the English accent. Something you like, something you don't like, let me know.
Okay, cool. So in answer to his question, I've never seen his channel before, but I liked this video. I might check out some more of his stuff. In answer to his question, I love the English accent. I love any accent outside of the US because it's so different. Well, you know, Canadian, like I said, I do kind of lump Canadians sound a little different, but they do very often sound like Americans. So I find it fascinating. I find the whole thing about dialects is so interesting to me, and I love to hear the different ways people pronounce words in English. I'm speaking specifically of English speakers, not necessarily like, let's say someone who English is their second language. I'm talking English dialects. Not that I mind people that, you know, have learned English as a second language. I love listening to those accents too, and how their native accent has had an impact on the way they pronounce English words, just like how when someone who's an American speaks Spanish, if they don't really try to conquer that the way the words sound, they do sound very stereotypically American. You know, like, ¿Cómo estás? Estoy muy bien, gracias. You know, it's just so bad. But I like other dialects of English speakers from different countries. I've been listening to this podcast called Case File. I'm obsessed with true crime podcasts. And I've gone through different ones, and the one that I'm currently obsessed with is called Case File, and it's narrated by, well, we don't know his name. I'm pretty sure he's from Australia. I honestly can't tell much difference between the Australian dialect and the New Zealand dialect. And I'm sure there are videos out there that explain the differences. But I'm listening to Case File, and the dude's an Aussie. Pretty sure he's an Aussie. I think I've seen him referenced as from Australia. And when he says things like nice, he pronounces it as noise, like that. And other words. And in my mind, every time I hear him say the words these way, like that, and he says ka, I spell it in my brain the way he phonetically pronounces it. So for nice, and he says noise, I spell it in my brain Noice, and ka, CAH. It's just, and I'm constantly rewriting. Listen to me. I'm constantly rewriting words in my brain when I'm listening to him talk. I love his accent, but it's just interesting. If you haven't checked out his podcast, if you like true crime, well, it's not just one guy. Maybe it started off as one guy, but it's not anymore. Case File, fascinating podcast. It's got tons of episodes. I think it started in, I know this is such a tangent. I think it started in maybe 2016 or 2015. And it's got more than 200 and some episodes. So that's cool, because right now I'm on case 53. It's the East Area Rapist part 2. And that's only case 53. Case 1 came out, January of 2016. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to the see, it's just really, I love it because, 207. That was their latest one. So check them out if you like Case File. I mean, if you like true crime. There it is, Case File. That was a tangent, but it had to do with the fact that the dude is an Aussie. And he speaks with this very cool accent. And it's funny, sometimes he'll reenact what people say. And he'll, like, if the bad guy is screaming something or yelling, he'll do it that way too. And it's so funny because the whole time, practically, I know this is such a tangent, but the whole time he's talking with this very monotone delivery. And you would think that would be boring, but it's not really. It's fine. And he's talking with this delivery, and then he'll imitate what a bad guy says. Be quiet or I'll kill you. And then he took the knife out and he did, it's just so startling when he does it. He didn't start off doing that. This is something a little bit recent, like maybe 10 plus episodes within that time span. In the very beginning, he wasn't like that. He didn't do that at all. And so the first time it happened, it really startled me. But anyway, yeah, I like this video. This is really cool. I'll probably watch some more of his stuff. And yeah, I answered his question. I wasn't triggered at all. I don't blame people for not being crazy about some of our accents, but I get why people that are not from the States would like the accent, because I think it's the same reason that a lot of people from the States love accents from other places, especially when we hear them. Like, we go to that place, like let's say if you go to England or whatever, you're surrounded by it. But when you're living here and you run into someone that talks with an English accent or an Australian accent or Scottish or Irish or whatever, it's just like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Just keep talking. It's funny. Okay, well, I don't have anything else. So I'm going to wrap this up for now, you guys. Hasta luego.